I was not involved with season 2 at all. When we finished up season 1, Mattel seemed to feel that they needed to have more direct input into the show. I said I can't do that. So when I left, Larry was the perfect person to choose to put into that job because no one else knew that future environment better than Larry did. And he could pick up right where I left off without missing a beat.
Well, we were given the opportunity to write the scripts. We just never got the opportunity to make them. I used a lot of good writers there. I had all the stuff in place. I had everything in place for the season would be tight as a drum on the continuity and where we'd be going. We had to deal immediately with the death of Pilot, and that became the episode called Vendetta, where he goes after Locke the Springer. We killed Pilot, so we figured we need another woman, and we were going to bring in someone called Ranger, Christine O'Connor, and she'd be like hot for Tank. And that idea we really loved.
We had the whole arc with Captain Power's mother we were going to get into because we don't talk about her much at all. And for her, I just kept seeing this image of a very badly done digitization into a metallic form. So you would see this shuffling, shambling thing, half metal, half human, in this all-white room with white curtains and white furniture that was half mad. That's going to be a great place to get to down the road, which we never got there, but that was certainly part of it.
I would have loved to see the second season come around because that's when, you know, Dredd actually became fully roboticized. So we had another design for the suit that was going to be him, full of blinkies and everything, and all that was rescued from him was just a tiny part of his, you know, of his brain and eye, and everything else was basically, you know, a robot.
I saw in season 2 Dredd emerging fully machine, except for his consciousness and his mind, losing his humanity. And over the course of the that second season, coming to grips with the fact that he lost that which gave him meaning and striving to get it back somehow, and eventually going into a battle against Overmind. Because Overmind's goal was quite simple: collect everyone's bodies, get all of humanity digitized, and hit delete. Once Dredd would find that out, he would have to strike back, and you'd have a war, and suddenly you'd have Overmind over here and Dredd and Power working together to stop Overmind from destroying humanity. And to see those two working side by side in the second or third season would have been the fun.
The second year, it was going to be all new. The base was blown, our heroes were on the run, Pilot was killed, Lord Dredd had now become one with the machine. What does that mean? And we had some really cool new characters. We had a whole arc that happened with these race of archers that lived in this forest, you know, kind of futuristic Robin Hood with these amazing bows, with these amazing arrows, all really, really cool stuff. If you look at where we ended, we had set the whole second season up to be a complete twist, you know, on everything you've known so far.
We moved into all kinds of other characters, and some of those characters, you know, Gary had ideas for what he wanted to do with, and some other things he just said, well, hey Luke, you know, knowing the show, what do you think could be fun out there that would happen on the Earth in that world? So some of the ideas that came out were all over the map. You know, everything from some holograms and crazy people living in the wild to people, you know, salvaging wildlife and some other bad guys to work with Dredd. It was a blast.
When we made the decision to blow the base, that did change what the second season is going to be from what was in my mind originally. Now they're fugitives. Now they're on the run. They don't have all that great stuff they had. So what happens to them? And the logical thing was, first they got to hide out somewhere. They hide out, and the logical thing was, let's find one of the last remaining forests. And in this forest are these archers. And these archers are amazing. They're like futuristic Robins. They appear and they disappear. They're there, and they save them, and they disappear. And then they're taken into almost like a Lost Boys home, but an adult version of that in the forest, where there's this underground hideaway. It's out of the eyes of the thing. And these guys, what are they doing? They're preserving this forest. Because, you know, Dredd wants to destroy all that stuff.
There's one character I really liked that kind of sort of came up and seemed to have a life of its own right from the start, and was CompuKid. Today, the idea of hackers and stuff like that is very common. At that time, that was the idea of a kid who really early on learned to hack all the systems, and he lives in a big robotic, you know, a world where robots are taking over and power is so important, all these things.
In the second year, we were going to actually have a feature in some of the toys that would actually get signals from the show that weren't just battle. They were secret messages. They were battle codes that you could use to fight the war against Dredd. A whole different take on what interactivity meant, not just the firing. But in the firing area, that was actually going to be better too. They had the coolest jet because the first year they barely got done, and the thing was, you got a negative if you got hit too many times, and it made the guy fire out of the cockpit. So what happened was kids at a certain point wanted to lose so they could get the animation. So the second year, I actually had the prototype jet. This was the coolest jet. This jet should have been made. This jet, you got points, and as you were getting points, when you got to one point, two little windows in the base flipped out and you had more firepower. These two extra gun systems came out. When you got to another point, the wings actually unfolded and had another battery of guns. So now you got rewards as you started to accumulate points.
In the process of making it more interesting, we had to come up with how you could have more parts modify and change on the jet, and how it would respond to what's going on screen better. Because like any technology, that one would have gotten better season after season. You know, the first season was working, but then it would have gotten just great as we kept adding on features.
That was the one thing about the toys, I think, that was a bit of a misfire. You only got a really good reaction in your jet if you lost. So the next year they're going to correct it. Your jet became a super jet as you started to mount up the points.
I'm going.
I know. Every year like clockwork. You want some company?
No, thanks. I'll be back.
Where does he go?
Back.
Well, we had so many exciting ideas running around that second season, and the cast was so enamored of it. They said, "Yeah, wow, we're ready to get to work again." You know, they were starting to prep the studio, and then the call came. Mattel said, "No, you got to shut down shop. We're not doing it anymore. It's not picking up the toys." And you know, what could we do? We cried a little bit, and you know, went on to another job. And that's how you always do it. But it was, again, was one of the finest jobs I had in the thing, and I enjoyed working with Gary, and I enjoyed working with everybody I worked with. I should have, right? They were all my friends.